So I think DMZ is going to be a lot more important than people think, especially when it comes to Warzone, because I was actually kind of scouring all my footage from Warzone at the COD Next event, and I was able to find this screen when you go to upgrade your weapon. It says spend cash to buy attachments to upgrade your weapons. Any attachments looted in world can be equipped for free. And as we can see, and as we saw from all the footage, if you've seen any Warzone 2 footage, you'll know that there are 0 attachments on the floor and that are lootable. So what that kind of leads me to believe is that there will be a DMZ element where maybe attachments are lootable. Until they actually give us more information, this is kind of what we have to go off of. So this kind of creates a little bit of an issue of how are they going to actually solve for the looting scenario, because the base backpack was only 5 slots plus cash, so a total of 6 slots, and they're gonna have to figure this part out. Other games have done multiple things to kind of solve for this, whether it's Escape from Tarkov, where it has multiple different backpacks, and it also allows for different slotting because inventory takes up different spots. But obviously Call of Duty's got to be a little bit more simplified, because at the end of the day, we're dealing with primarily controller players, regardless if you're on console or PC. The vast majority of players are on controller, so they'll have to solve for the user interface to make it as seamless as possible. Apex has a pretty smooth looting system where you can kind of drag and drop items, which make it pretty easy. I'm thinking they could do something similar to the Cycle, which actually gives you weighted backpacks. So maybe there's an assigned weight or value to a specific item. So if you pick up a gun, it weighs 10 pounds or whatever the heck the value is. And then your overall backpack, you can hold the different values. And if you have a small backpack, you can hold less than a medium, and then obviously less than a large, which would be the largest backpack, where you can actually come back with the most amount of items. And then on top of that, we got to figure out how the overall mechanics of the mode will work, because a lot of people are really highlighting the fact that it's very similar to Escape from Tarkov. But I think there's another example that works very similarly, especially when you factor in that they're going to be bringing in strongholds, there's going to be bosses and other things along those things where maybe you're going to have to extract. There's going to be PvE engagements, there's PvP engagements. They've also introduced proximity chat. So there's a lot of variables we talk about, and that game is The Division. This is a game I had about 500 hours in, so I'm very experienced with the overall mechanics of the game, as well as the dark zone. And the specific area that we're going to focus on today is in terms of comparison of how it could work is the dark zone. And then we have different levels with the Cycle. We have Marauders. We have Escape from Tarkov, which is the most extreme milsim realistic thing. And then we're going to have the DMZ on one side, and then COD is going to find its niche somewhere, probably pulling elements from all of these things. And this genre has been around for a little bit, but is the new genre that I think they're trying to go after. So the first thing we'll talk about is the stronghold and landmarks. Is there certain named areas of the map, and you kind of rotate through them in these specific zones. So this one will be named, let's say, Quarry, to keep it easy if we're talking about Verdansk POIs, and then maybe you rotate to Boneyard, then you go to Superstore, and those would be named locations, right? They're just kind of for simplicity's sake. And when you go in there, there's going to be NPCs. These are entry-level NPCs that basically look like cheap AI. You can kill them. You're very unlikely to die by them. Essentially recruit bots. Then within these areas, there are a little bit more elevated enemies, which we can call elite enemies. And then these ones might have a higher chance to drop something versus a regular unnamed enemy. That's an NPC. They drop a loot. And then above that, there could be named enemies, which in this game, maybe they're going to go ahead and call them bosses. And within these bosses, they're going to have they could be set spawn loot, where maybe this boss over here at Quarry, you got to go ahead and take him out. His name's Harry. His guy's Harry the Juggernaut. And when you kill Harry the Juggernaut, maybe he drops the monolithic suppressor. And that is one of the 3 ways to get the monolithic suppressor for your weapons that you'll be able to use in Warzone. Who knows, right? Well, this is kind of theory crafting based off the elements and kind of simplify how that would work and what would be the value in actually playing DMZ. What would be the value of that nervousness, like, oh dude, I want to be able to extract, I don't want to lose my stuff, because that really sucks. They're going to have to figure out how to value that economy. And it feels like Warzone and DMZ are going to be really attached. One of the downsides with this system is any progression from multiplayer wouldn't really necessarily transition well. And then that'd be kind of like a forced free-to-play DMZ Warzone where everyone's going to have to kind of go into DMZ and lock. I don't know how that'll work, right? Those are all things that I'm sure they've figured out, and they'll let us know when it happens. So now that you've got that loot, you can go ahead and go from there. As soon as you killed Harry over at Quarry, now you're going to go ahead and head to Boneyard, and maybe you're going to go ahead and take on Sally, and then you're going to go ahead and take that out. And then boom, you know, you move on to the next spot and you move to the next spot. And then once you have your bag full, you can go ahead and do an extraction. And different games do this differently. When it comes to Tarkov, you kind of head to a specific area of the map. There's one use extractions where, you know, okay, I can go to this one, and that is an area I can extract, or I can use one of these other 6 or 7 points of interest where that'll be an area for me to extract. You walk into the extraction zone, timer goes off, you get out with all your gear. And those are just varying forms of extraction. We got to talk a little bit about how the combination of proximity chat combines with the overall player mechanics. And how that works is when you walk up to somebody, I'm trying to take out Harry over at Quarry, right? And then I hear another enemy like, hey, I'm trying to take out Harry to get the monolithic suppressor. Hey, me too. You mind partying up so that we can go ahead and do this together and we both get the loot? So that's like a perfect scenario, right? Like, hey, we're going to buddy up and we're not necessarily friends. We don't even have to add each other as friends. But in this scenario, we're going to go ahead and clear this together so we don't have to really worry about each other taking each other out. We can see each other on the mini map and all those types of things as teammates, right? And then you could opt to both be there, and maybe you're doing your own thing, they're doing their own thing, and you don't decide to party up, but you also don't decide to really have conflict each other. Maybe you're a little bit on edge where you go, I don't know if this guy's going to be a good guy or a bad guy, but I'll kind of avoid them, and I'll go ahead and try and take out Harry first so I can get the monolithic suppressor. They miss out. If they miss out, maybe they'll try and kill me for it afterwards because I was the one who took out Harry. Who knows, right? There's a little bit of elements there. One thing that the Division does really well is if an enemy is going to be lethal, they're going to be coming after you, they will notify you that I am going to shoot you. If I was friendly, I'm going to shoot you. So you had a clear awareness like, hey, you know what? This guy's going to be unfriendly. Let me get to a position so we can have a relatively fair fight. Because in other games like Tarkov, you could just be walking with the person, hey, yeah, you can go ahead and loot it. They go into the bag to loot it. You just shoot them and then they're gone. You loot the bag and them and you're good to go, right? So there's a little bit of weirdness with that, but you can establish some friends or teammates because you guys may have similar goals or you want to kind of farm the specific area to get your loot. And that's where proximity chat's going to come into play because some people may be bluffing. Maybe they're going to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, I'm friendly. Yeah, no big deal. Let's go and get it. Yeah. Let's go extract together too. Yeah. Boom. Okay. What loot did you have? All right, cool. See you in the next match. So you got to be a little wary of that. So now that we've done that with or without a teammate, we got to go ahead and head to an extraction site. There's these specific areas where they're highlighted for extraction where you extract the loot, not the player. Versus in Tarkov, you extract the loot and the player at the same time. When it comes to the DZ from the Division, you have these areas where you're going to go and it says, hey, the extraction is going to happen in a certain amount of time, whether it's 30 seconds a minute. And then you walk up. As soon as the rope comes down, you can put all the gear you've looted onto the rope. And then there's going to be a countdown for that rope. As soon as that timer's up, it extracts and it's gone, it's safe, and you can continue looting the area. You don't have to necessarily leave the match. You can keep going around, continue looting these named areas until your stash overall is full. Because in at least from the Division, there was 30 items. So you can extract 30 items, then you go check them all out. If you need to upgrade your character, boom, you can sell all that stuff, and then you can get currency in different forms of currency so that you can actually expand your items. So for example, in the Division, they had it where you would get these sealed caches where you could get a random item. So it would be the vest, a helmet, a gun, an attachment. You could also get currency, so crafting materials, different varying strengths, so that if maybe you were unlucky and you just didn't find a particular item, you could actually make those particular items of the materials, and then that would be your item to go into a future excursion with, or just to upgrade your character so that you have those items as a whole. The part with the DZ is that when you went in with your gear, it wasn't like you lost your gear that you went in with. So that was a little bit different versus Tarkov. If you have a fully decked out character, you go in, somehow get shot in the back, and you You just die, you're out, somebody could loot your bag and they extract and they take all your stuff. So very, very punishing versus not necessarily as punishing. You only have the chance to lose the items you have looted for extraction. So I think they're going to find a balance between those because they are relatively different extremes. COD is primarily built for a casual player base. So in my head, I feel like they're going to go more casual, which kind of leans me more towards the DZ rather than Tarkov in terms of the extremes there. And that's the general loop of the system. And once you've gotten the items, you kind of exit through a door and you extract, very similar to Tarkov, but you just kind of walk through the door and you're out of the DZ. So you kind of have a wide range of different rounds they can go, but this kind of gets me interested how they're going to do it. Are they going to allow us to have backpacks where we can hold 10, 15, or even 20 items? So you could be in there quite a while looting and then getting ready to extract. How is those overall mechanics going to work? Because I think attachments are going to play a role in floor loot, and that's how they're going to make it so that the battle royale still feels very battle royale-ish, where you don't just have loadout guns. You kind of would have had to earn these, and you can lose them if you end up dying. Maybe, I don't know how that's going to work. Very interesting, and I'm excited for Modern Warfare 2, Warzone 2, and DMZ. We'll see you guys there. Appreciate all the support on the content. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.